of course, at Rural Roads, it's important to acknowledge our traditional lands before we begin any meeting. So we do acknowledge that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Wasepsum and the Lekwungen ancestors and families. It is with deep gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. So thank you, everybody, for being here. It's a real pleasure. And without further ado, the reason that we're all here, our Learning and Technology at Rural Roads Q&A. So I am privileged to be joined by Dr. Elizabeth Childs, who's the professor and program head of our Masters of Arts in Learning and Technology program. And of course, my name is Ariana. I'm an education specialist here at Rural Roads University. And Elizabeth, would you like to say a few words just to say a hello?
Just thank you, Ariana, for such a lovely welcome for everybody. And for those of you who are joining us or those that listen to the recording later, I just wanted to say a big thank you for taking time out of your day to find out more about this, to have your questions answered, hopefully. And if not, we'll follow up. But also to see goodness of fit. And I'm just, it's always so exciting for me being in this field for so long to have people come and say, yeah, I want to be a part of it, a part of this field, a part of this intersection between learning and technology. And what does that mean? So just thank you for making time for this in your day. And I think, Ariana, you have a few more sort of general slides, and then we'll get into some Q&A.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's just such a pleasure to always co-host webinars with you. So before we get into the Q&A, as you mentioned, we have just a small agenda here for you. So welcome and introductions. That is what we're doing now. I'll speak briefly on the Rural Roads experience, of course, how to apply, and then we can answer your fabulous questions in the chat. So Rural Roads University, we are a university located in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. We are real pioneers of blended learning. We've been doing online and blended learning for over 25 years. So we like to believe that we are real change makers in that field, not just through COVID, but we've been doing it for quite a long time. If you've ever been to our campus, we also have over 560 beautiful acres of campus. As you can see in the top photo there, we have Hatley Castle. This has been featured in many movies like X-Men and Deadpool, the list goes on. It's a wonderful place to be. So if you do get the chance to check out our campus, if you're doing a blended program or an on-campus program, it's a wonderful place to check out. We also have a cohort learning model. So we pride ourselves on really having a cohort and close connections with the people that you're working with and doing the program with. And you really move through the program with these people and you really get to know them. We also do learning based on life. So at Rural Roads, you're not just a student to us, you bring so much experience to the classroom. And really you're the people that you're in the program with could be, you know, CEOs and people with different kind of jobs all across different sectors. So it's a really cool mix of folks that take our programs and it provides a really rich experience. How to apply for our programs. If you're thinking about applying to any of the learning and technology programs at Rural Roads, which we hope that you are, just a little few slides on how to apply so we can hopefully give you a little bit more information if you don't know already. For learning and technology admissions at Rural Roads, we have both standard admissions and flexible admissions. So standard admissions looks like a 4-year or comparable undergraduate degree in a related field from a recognized post-secondary institution, and at least 3 years of professional experience in a leadership or management position related to your program of interest. But we also do flexible admissions. So say you haven't been in school for a little while or for many different reasons. For that, we normally require a minimum of 7 years of work experience and 2 years of professional experience in a leadership or management position that's related to the program of interest. So not necessarily an undergraduate degree, but we assess people on a holistic basis, really taking into account a variety of factors. And if you're wondering the actual steps on how to apply, the first step, of course, is to pay an online application fee of $131.39. And then you're just going to provide some supporting documents. So that looks like official transcripts, a personal statement. And what that is basically saying, why do you want to attend this program? What is your kind of motivation for wanting to be in this program? And it's a nice chance to kind of sit down with yourself and realize like, man, why do I want to do this? And maybe what are my reasons for doing so, and putting that in a nice personal statement. And of course, a detailed resume is also very important. So really showing your work experience, volunteer experience, and everything, so we can get to know kind of the whole picture of who you are. And 2 letters of reference as well. One can be in a professional capacity, and one can be in academic capacity as well, or you can have a combination of those. We do, of course, have some upcoming intakes, and they are upcoming quick. It is already December. So we have a Master's of Arts in and Graduate Diploma in Learning and Technology, and those are online and blended offerings. For that, we have a start date of March 27th, 2023, also coming up quick, and an application deadline for those of December 27th, 2022. So that's just in a couple weeks. Hard to believe, but we're already there. And we also have a graduate diploma in technology enhanced learning and design, and our graduate certificate in instructional design. And that's coming up. Start date for that is January 16th, 2023. And the application deadline very soon is December 16th, 2022. So if you're really in progress or you're thinking about starting an application, definitely submit those documents as soon as you can. Of course, going back to school is a big step. We realize that here at Rural Roads. So we do have some services available to you. We have financial aid and award services. So they do things like loans, bursaries, student research scholarships, that's a tongue twister, other funding, and emergency funding as well. So you can reach out to them by going to roads.ca/admission/financial aid awards. We also have enrollment services. They are wonderful. We have contact information for them on the screen there, so feel free to take a photo or write that down. Their email is learn.more@royalroads.ca. There's also some phone numbers for local and toll-free, and they really help you narrow down program options, answer questions about your application, or connect you with students and alumni, which is always fantastic to really hear from people who've been through this experience, and they can give you kind of some advice and point you in the right direction. And with that, I will wrap it up and say thank you from myself, and of course, hand it over to Elizabeth for our Q&A, but just providing that email one more time at learn.more@royalroads.ca. And the School of Education and Technology also has a blog, and it's set.royalroads.ca/blog. So be sure to check that out. And I will just stop sharing my screen here. Excellent. And then we can pass it off to, if anybody has any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. But yeah, Elizabeth, do you maybe want to say a few words about any of those slides, or yeah, just a couple
Absolutely.
Words.
So Stacy, thanks so much for joining us. I'd love to know where you're joining from if you want to come. Oh, there you are. Hello, lovely to see you. I'm going to put in the chat a link to the Mallet program page. So this program is unlike any other that we offer at Rural Roads, in the sense that it is one of the design principles informing the program is openness. So all of the courses are openly accessible. You can go in on that link. You can see them all now. They all sit on a public-facing WordPress sites. And then we use Moodle as our learning management system at Rural Roads. And that's where students would put their assignments, things that, you know, are going to be assessed and back and forth with the instructor. It's also where students would have, sometimes in courses, I'm thinking of the first research course, for example, people that are chief learning officers of organizations, or training and development officers in Department of Defense, or in finance or healthcare. Maybe they haven't ever really figured out what a research question could look like, and maybe they don't want to publicly have all of that mental learning happen in a public space. So in some of the courses, there are Moodle discussion forums where we would use those for the conversations that you want to have behind the door, right? With your cohort, with your instructor. So there's a bit of back and forth, but you'll be able to see the courses on the WordPress site. But Stacy, I'd love to know, I don't know, I think you're in, there you go. Awesome. Wonderful. And where are you located now? I know, it's funny with the chatting. Oh, great, great. So you're, you know, bundling up and staying nice and warm and all of those things. One of the things that people often wonder about the program is how does it actually work, right? Can you do this full time and still have a family and your
That's my
curriculum
big thing. My
there?
kids are grown, and I mean, I used to live in Souk, so I drove by rural roads literally every day to go to work many years ago.
So the way that makes this a little bit different than perhaps what people are used to when they think of their BA or their undergrad is we're not semester based. So you take one course at a time for 9 weeks, and then you have a week break, and then you take the next course for 9 weeks. So they're intense in terms of, they're 9 weeks, not sort of the traditional 12-week semester.
Right.
They're an intense 9-week, but you're only doing one at a time. And so what we find is that's not there in every course, there is a team assignment and a team, you'll be working together with team members who will mix up throughout the program. So that part, you have to coordinate with other people's schedules, right? So whether you have your team meetings or things like that. So that can take some logistic timing. And then there are the individual assignments and activities for the course. So most of the courses move through, week to week or every 2 weeks, you have sort of your tranche of things that you're working on, but you're not having to also have 3 other courses that you're managing at the same time, which is how students have, what I hear back is that that's how it helps them balance the load.
Right.
There are times, there are ebbs and flows in the course and in the program in terms of when you've got a busy time and when it kind of lulls a little bit more. And so we try to make that very explicit in the schedule, and the course instructors go through that at the beginning of each course to say, okay, here's generally, where the ebbs and flows are.
Right.
The exception to what I've just said is the blended program. So for the blended program, you take 2 courses at the same time, right at the beginning of the program. And so you do a little bit online for those 2 courses, then you come to campus for 2 weeks and work intensively with your group. And then you do a little bit more online with those 2 courses, and then they're done. And then you start with everyone who took the fully online, you'll start with them in course 3. And you just do one
because I would have to do I think I'd have to do the fully online.
Okay.
Because I work full time. I work for an education management company.
Okay.
So what is involved in the 2 weeks there?
In the blended, so there's 2 offerings. You can take the program fully online. That's absolutely fine. And that starts in March. Or you can choose the blended, and that starts in March as well. And you'll come together. In those 2 weeks on campus, students have said in the past, it's like a learning boot camp.
Right.
Right. So it's, 9 to 5, and then there's teamwork that's happening in the evenings for the team assignments. And you're working on the meat of those 2 courses together for those 2 weeks. And then usually, so we call it the pre-learning intensive, then you come together for this intensive, and then there's a post period where you're finishing up your final assignments for those 2 courses. By and large, that's what the remainder part of that online piece is. For the fully online program, you won't come to campus except for when you cross the stage to graduate, hopefully, that you'll come for that.
When I graduated for my adult ed degree, I missed that.
Yeah. And many people choose to, they've never met their cohort, they've never been to the campus, and so they come for convocation.
I would.
Because it's beautiful, right? It's a beautiful closure piece to celebrate all of your hard work. What other questions did you have?
I've got the program schedule here. I don't know. When I was kind of researching for my master's, because if I could, I'd go to school till I die, but I can't afford it. This fits in really super well to what I do now.
Okay.
In terms of my work, plus adult ed is just my thing. So, I mean, this works really well because I have my undergrad is in adult education, and I work with an education management company, and I do academic content and development. So I do a lot of instructional design and stuff like that, and make sure that my project managers have the tools to do what they need to do to make Moodle engaging for the student. So,
Mhm.
like I said, this really is a good fit for me. I think I was more concerned about the time because
Right.
I'm also very busy at work
Yeah.
with my team.
So here's generally what get everybody, it's a common question, of course, right? So each course is 3 credits until you get into the completion pathways, and they're a bit longer, so they're more credits. And roughly through the BC ministry that certifies the programs, that roughly translates to about 99 hours of quote unquote instruction. So what that means is all the readings, all the team assignment work, all the individual assignment work, all of the activities in the course, roughly about that. So then when people do the math over 9 weeks, they're like, oh, great, 10 hours a week. And then you can do that 10 hours however
Yeah.
you choose. But I have never met a person who said, yeah, it was 10 hours, because you get down rabbit holes, right? And you're interested and it's curious. And so
Yeah.
what people find is anyone like during a week, for example. So on the Monday, if it's a unit per week, some courses are, some aren't, but pretend it is for now. They start in on the Monday, they do some of the readings over Monday, Tuesday, dive into the activities Wednesday, Thursday, or maybe not. Maybe they can only do the readings during the week and they do them on their commute to work, or they listen to them. And then
Right.
Saturday, Sunday, they take half a day and work at it. Some people, so that part is up to you, right? That's definitely up to you. Some people find they do 2 hours a night and then devote 1 full day on the weekend. Other people find, I actually can't do that. So I'm going to do, a little bit of reading through the week, and then maybe good 1 full day on the weekend and a half day, or, it really depends how.
Yeah. Well, like I did my undergrad online, so I'm not unfamiliar with the amount of hours that it actually takes to graduate with distinction, and that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Because that's just what I'm going to do. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with distinction or honors or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you're giving yourself, it's in some ways, it's one slice of this is it is kind of a selfish act, right? You're diving in to this, and you're committing all of your time, your energy, your resources, your brain power, and you're asking your family and your work and your friends to support you in all of that. And so I think each person individually negotiates with themselves. What does that look like for them, right? What does that mean?
It's true. It's true.
But
and,
you do, you would have known this from your BA. You have to take something off your plate in order to put this in. You can't add it on top.
My husband learned to cook more than eggs and bacon.
Yeah.
Was that first go round, because our kids lived at home. My kids are all gone now. So, and I'm a caregiver for my dad, but they're not unfamiliar with, mom's not coming because she has homework.
Right.
And my VP actually was like, hey, get on it. So they're very supportive. So, I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about the workload, more so because I've got like a big job now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before I was teaching. So different kind of load, still huge, but different kind of load, right? So
well, and I think it's also really helpful. So on that link to the program page where you can see all the courses, they're on the right-hand side. If you click on any of those courses, on the right-hand side of those pages, you'll see all of the current students' blogs. And so you can go in and you can read them and see the kind of stuff they're working on, the kind of conversations they're having. You can reply, post to one that you think is curious, see if they want to connect and talk a little bit more. I know also our enrollment team are happy to point you to some alumni if you wanted to talk to people who've actually lived this program.
Right.
Because absolutely, I can say whatever I say, but I haven't lived the program, right? I've lived the teaching in the program.
Yeah, the teaching and the learning are different.
Right? They're different things. And so being able to talk to someone who's going through this and hear some of their strategies and their approaches is really valuable. So I would encourage you to do that.
Absolutely. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, I'm just pulling stuff so I can have a look at it. But yeah, that really does make sense. It's just getting to getting everything together to apply.
And
that feels painful.
Yeah, it sounds painful. I hear you, as we all don't really want to do form. So the transcripts piece, I'll let Lisa in the chat speak to all of that good stuff. But the personal statement really is, it's you introducing yourself to this community that you're going to be joining, right? And why this program, why now? What are you looking for out of it? What can you bring to it, right? Because this is a co-created learning experience. It's not just we're telling you what to do. It's definitely not that. So it's really, I don't know how long they usually are. I usually read them. They're, a page and a half, 2 pages max.
Okay.
Just
That's not
situating
bad.
you. Yeah. Just situating you. Here's who I am. Here's what I've done. Here's what I'd like to continue to do and why this program is resonating for me. Here's what I can bring to the learning community I'll become a part of. And here's what I hope to be able to take away and use in my work and your profession going forward. So I think, it's tricky because of course it's you sitting down to actually talk about you, which many people find challenging.
Well, and especially Canadians, because, that would be bragging and we can't do that.
But I think when you break it down into those pieces, right, then it makes it a bit more manageable.
It would be much easier to write a paper. Oh, which is my other question. I did a capstone for my undergrad. Am I able to do a thesis?
Yes, so there are 3 completion pathways in the program.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if I would be able to, because at this point, if I have my master's, I would probably go on to my doctorate because it's only 2 more years.
So the thesis, it's an application process. So after the 3rd course, during the 3rd course in the program, in the first September, let's just use calendar months, I'll do a session explaining the 3 completion pathways. The handbooks are all on that Mallet program page site. I'm just going to stick back in there.
So then we can just kind of...
You can take a look and see.
I can discuss it and figure, yes, I can do that, or I'm absolutely insane and no.
Yeah. And then what you would do is there's an application form on that Mallet program page, and our program associate, who's the point person, Marlene, she's fantastic at everything detailed and organized. She'll, after the session, send out a note. Here's the application form, blah, blah, blah. You fill it in, and then it is adjudicated by committee. So the decision of the committee stands. I would say generally, if we had a cohort of 20, we probably would have 3 or 4 people that would apply to thesis.
Right.
And probably 2 would go on to be able to do the thesis.
Well, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. The other 2 completion options are an applied research project. So you're still doing primary research, just on a smaller scale, and a digital learning research consulting project, which is in many ways much more pragmatic and practical, but still involves some primary research. So in that one, you can research under course blanket ethics. You can work with people up to 10, a number of 10. So often, and you can see some of these on the virtual symposium, often students will do that if in their work setting, they're embarking on a new project or something that needs to be created. So it's a real creation-based piece. We've had people do training guides for just-in-time video libraries that are user-generated from people in the field.
Right.
We've had people do, one of my favorites was a culinary arts professor at a college who worked with students and obviously had very little time at each station to give them proper feedback, they felt.
Yeah.
And so they worked with their IT team and their learning management system to create a way that she could video on site what was happening and record her feedback in the moment, upload that to the LMS. The student could then review it and redo it and they had much more of a dialogue around
Right.
how to temper chocolate, or whatever
Yeah.
the important, really important stuff was. So we've had all kinds of different consulting projects.
Okay,
I'll
so
put a
then
link. Go
just a
ahead.
quick question.
Mhm.
I'm working with with one SME developing an English language school for one of our colleges out in Ontario. And I'm working with several other SMEs internationally to develop a data analytics and artificial intelligence program under our IT banner.
Mhm.
So would that kind of be like, as I'm working through those, would those be things that I could do research with, because we have to figure out how to
Absolutely.
make it
Yeah,
engaging and because
absolutely.
I have to do it anyway in real life.
And that's what a lot of people do. And that's where the third completion pathway option also comes into play. I was talking to someone just earlier this week about that. It's a really great one for when you're just at the beginning of something, right? So in their case, they're just at the beginning of looking at what does it mean to create an online cultural safety piece for her
Right.
organization. So the consulting project, she's not going to do that because she's not going to build it. They're not there yet. What they need is they need to know what is going on in the literature. What does the research say? Promising practices for online, for cultural safety, for all of these things. She needs to talk to people in her organization. So in the applied project, she can talk to up to 3 under blanket ethics, hear what they have to say. And then she basically needs to make recommendations. Here's how we might go forward. And so that's a nice sort of front end quasi needs assessment, research informed piece. And that's the other completion pathway. So as people move through the program, some people come in, they know exactly what they want to do right from the beginning. Other people come in and they just take each course for what it is, and they just dive into the courses, and then they sort of surface at about 1.5 years and go, all right, completion pathways, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And other people just wait to see what evolves in their organization. And I think increasingly, given our complicated and complex time right now globally, that's what I'm seeing more and more of. People are just waiting to see what's going to emerge in their work environment that might be something they're also curious about,
Right.
and dovetail them and use that.
Right. Like I did a like an annotated bibliography on cultural diversity in online learning, but that was pre-COVID.
Right.
But there was an obvious gap.
Yeah.
Right. Is that gap still there?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like that would be fun. Oh, my nerd is showing. I'm sorry.
No. And that's, we were talking about this the other night, actually. That's the biggest challenge, right? Is we're not short on ideas, people in this field. People in this field have lots of amazing ideas.
Well, because we come from everywhere.
And so then how do we hone them and, get them into a form that doesn't compromise your master's degree, because it'll take forever, but allows you to do something that you can then, when your master's is done, leverage to the next thing. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I wasn't sure I could pull this off, but I feel a little bit more confident now. I was like 3 weeks ago, I was like, nope, can't add this to my plate. It's going to be way too much. But if it's one at a time, you could do a hard 9 weeks, sleep for a week because you have to work, but rest and recover and then go in again. So
absolutely. And take some time to look at the courses. The third course is sort of foundations in the field, and you'll get a sense that we do a lot of talking around in that course around myths of instructional design, myths around learning. And they did some amazing, their end assignment is around a speculative futures in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are just phenomenal, what was created, and many of them put them on their blog. So it'll just give you a flavor for, where the conversations are, where people are digging in. We do have a Twitter hashtag, although I'm considering moving that to Mastodon. We'll see, but for now it's there.
I left Twitter.
You might, people might connect in to that as well.
Okay.
And then just explore their blogs, because it will, it's just, they're just interesting, first of all. The other link I've put in is the virtual symposium. So every April, we have a 1 week long symposium fully online. And there are 3 streams to it. So for your work environment, you might consider sharing this because it's open to everybody. There's no fee.
Okay.
And we have sort of the experts in the field stream. We have people that are doing the work, stories from the field, and then we have the students that present. So you'll get a sense of being able to see, both what students do at the end of the program, but then also just some really great free professional development on different topics.
Okay, I've got that. I was looking through and I'm like, I don't have that tab, but
Good.
perfect. Thank you.
And I'll just put a little caveat on that one. We went through a switch with our servers. So if some of the recordings don't work, just check back in the new year. That's my mid-December job, is to go through and make sure all of those links are active and pointing to the right place again.
Right. You get finished marking and you put all that in, and that's it. Go fix all the links that got broken.
Yes.
Story of my life. Okay, well, that's a lot of information. Thank you.
You are welcome. You're welcome.
And I don't think I have any more questions. So,
okay. Well, if you do, don't hesitate to reach out. We're here. Ariana, Lisa's in the chat. She's got all kinds of information. If I can't answer it, I'll point you to people that can. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.